Video games are interactive, so of course, good game feel requires that input meets our expectations. What would be needed exactly differs from game to game, and it's rarely possible to get everything right on the first iteration. But still, in general, there are three important input factors that lead to good game feel: tactile projection, consistency, and grace mechanics. Tactile projection is the direct connection between the action you do with the input mechanism and what happens on screen. If on a controller you keep rotating the movement stick 360 degrees, the expectation is that the character will repeat the same movement pattern. A good example of this is Super Mario Odyssey. Now, this is more of a mechanical aspect of it, but tactile projection is also about the button configuration in general. We need to make sure it makes sense. For example, back in the day, Mass Effect 3 was criticized for putting in the sprint, take cover and vault all on the same A button on the controller. There are different actions, each with a specific purpose, but all are set on the same button, with the difference being if you're holding or tapping it and if you're trying to move or not. Also, outside of combat, A is the interact button. So cognitively, the button you need to press doesn't gel well together with the array of actions that's attached to it. All this is something you need to take into account. So if you have a jump button, putting a talk action on the same button will not make sense. However, other actions like start climbing, pull up, or even something like vault over an opponent would, as they fit within the same cognitive category of upward movement. Then there's a matter of consistency, which essentially is the rule that the same combination of inputs should lead to the same result in similar scenarios. This not only means the game needs a set of clearly defined rules, but also a set of clearly defined metrics for setups. As a basic example, wall jumping. In one scenario, you wall jump with a specific rhythm in mind to reach the top. However, if in another scenario the walls are farther away, and yet not far enough for that to be clear, the rhythm will be different and it will feel off and lead to more failure as players have already trained themselves on the first scenario. But that said, it is fine to create a different setup where walls are clearly farther apart, but this is a separate type of setup that also has to be consistent in other cases. And lastly, grace mechanics, which exist because we need time to process what is going on screen and can't respond to everything perfectly. So mechanics have to account for that and provide room for forgiveness. One of the most known grace mechanics is probably Coyote Time, a specificity of platformers which allow you to jump even if you technically are not on the ground anymore. And really all games that feel like they have really tight controls have a lot of grace mechanics which nudge everything in the right direction. Sometimes literally, like in Celeste, where dash will actually nudge you onto the platform. If that wouldn't have been there, Madeline would crash against the corner of the platform and it wouldn't feel good at all. And Celeste has a ton of grace mechanics which Matt Thorson has shared on Twitter. You will find a link to the respective thread in the video description. So with these three aspects in mind, you can make sure that your game feels good to control. But don't get me wrong, even though this whole explanation may sound straightforward, it's not easy. All of this will require a lot of playtesting, iterations, tuning, sudden epiphanies appearing mid-production, and more than that, there is really no sure way to go about this, because every game is different and requires different game feel aspects for its inputs. But if you keep this in mind and make sure to consistently focus on how it feels to just do actions in the world, metrics that will allow you to create consistency, grace mechanics that will make sure players are not needlessly frustrated, and all those things, then you can make your game feel good to interact with. But input is not the only aspect of game feel, so our journey through this big topic will continue.